Is the mic on? Good. Okay. So we were in Poland, Valerie and I, and there's this AGNI HOTRA community, HOMA, and they had built a large underground copper pyramid, and above it you ignite the AGNI HOTRA, also in a copper pyramid, phase conjugate or capacitor, and you light the living plasma precisely aligned with sunrise sunset. And they got the timing to the millisecond to light that plasma, the living ghee, and my hair stood up. And I understood at that moment that the alignment of sunrise sunset was right angle phase conjugate. And that whole village, the area right around their little farm, was a paradise. They were spreading fertility by lighting that plasma accurately. I was totally impressed. And I really started to think about the science behind AGNI HOTRA, which lines you up with the conjugate plasma of the sun and the conjugate plasma here and a pyramid under it. It's a gorgeous thing. Anyway, so the hero and wizard of that community is right here, has come a long way, and I'm so grateful. And please, let's join him for the AGNI HOTRA ritual later, Dr. Ulrich.
Okay.
Ulrich.
Ulrich. Okay, thank you then for the introduction. We were in contact since then through Zoom and so on constantly. Actually, we wanted to publish an article on the science of AGNI HOTRA, and that's one reason why I came here because I'm an expert in AGNI HOTRA. Yeah, I know a lot about that, and also I'm guiding research on the effects of AGNI HOTRA a lot. But the actual mechanism, how AGNI HOTRA works, I do not know. I'm not a physicist, so I hope with the help of Dan and some others, we could do more. So this is one reason why I came here. So now I first want to, okay, that's me. And we all know now we live in a critical time on our planet. We have to do something. Humanity has to do something. The planet will survive, definitely. Whether humanity survives, that is in our hands. So everybody, each of us has to do something. This is a very good solution which each of us can easily do at home. Needs a little bit of discipline, but otherwise easy. The knowledge comes from the Vedas. Vedas is the ancient most knowledge of mankind. And some people say, especially in India, oh, that's Indian knowledge. Yeah, that's nonsense. Yes, in India, a lot of that, these practices are still performed, but the knowledge was all over the globe. It was given to all of humanity, and also we see in many, many places, we see some remnants of this knowledge. Like, for example, I was in the Baltic countries, and especially in Lithuania, you know, they have still some of these pagan traditions, because Christianity came very late, and they had some fire practices. And I came to one place once, and I performed one of these fires, and it was like reconnecting to the old energy, which was still there, stored in the soil and in everything. So, first, what is AGNI HOTRA? Very simple. We need one copper pyramid, exact size, exact shape. Then we need some dried cow dung. Very important, it's pure cow dung. Not so much important here because cow dung. Cow dung. We don't call it shit because it is so valuable. In many countries, when I I started AGNI HOTRA 45 years ago, and I taught the method soon also in many countries in Europe. When I came to other countries in a lecture, often I showed cow dung. Some people in the audience always started to laugh. But then some other people said, oh yeah, I remember. My grandmother told me there was an old remedy using cow dung. In Scandinavia, they use cow dung when people had tuberculosis. People were just placed in the cowshed, stayed there overnight. They breathed in the breath of the cow, and that healed them. And when people got drunk, totally intoxicated, people would put them in fresh cow dung up to the neck. Next morning they were all cow. Cow dung sucks all the poisons out of it. So we need this cow dung. In Ukraine, people told me two things. One is farmers used to apply cow dung in the walls to protect them from black magic. I was very much surprised. I thought, black magic, okay, we know that from South America, from Africa, but not in Europe. But they said, yeah. And also, before the weekend, young girls used to make a mask of fresh cow dung, put it on their face, and then washed it away, and that cleaned their skin. So they were very beautiful for the weekend.
New York. No, I believe probably super dielectric. I mean, yeah,
pulls toxins out of the skin.
We isolated an enzyme out of cow dung in America, and the reason why is because wherever cow dung was around the oil wells, the grass, the environment came back. They isolated the enzyme, and it, unfortunately, what it did was, what they use it for is to keep the pipelines clear, but it came from cow dung.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
sacred in India.
It is, yeah. That is the reason. Now people in India don't understand. They just say, oh, cows are holy animals, but they treat them as shit. You know, cows are walking around in the cities. They eat the plastic. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But still, every Indian can give you a lecture on how holy a cow is. Practice is a different thing.
In basmats, to make basmats.
Yeah. Okay, then we need some ghee, again cow's ghee. That is, especially in Asia, you have to be very careful because the ghee which you get there is normally not pure cow's ghee. It's, the label says pure, but that's the purest of the whole thing, is the label. Ghee we need. Ghee now is more popular also because we use it in Ayurvedic kitchen. Yeah? I did not find a good source of ghee, so the ghee we make ourselves. We buy butter, organic butter, and make the ghee ourselves. It's not a big process, it's easy. Then we need some rice. We use brown rice and only unbroken pieces. Okay, and then we need matches. This I mention now because once I forgot matches and I had to look for matches because you can't use a lighter. It should not be the petrochemical effect. You should mention. Okay, that's it. And then 2 mantras in the morning, 2 mantras in the evening, and the exact time of sunrise, sunset. For that we have an app called AGNI Buddy, and it gives you the exact time for your location. Okay, now I have the location of my place in Germany. The exact location for the exact time according exact to the second, not millisecond, then we don't manage that. But exact to the second for the exact place. So each and every place has its own time. So here also I calculated the time when I started my AGNI. Then 2 mantras in the morning, 2 mantras in the evening. In the morning it's Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. And after Swaha, we add 1 portion of rice, to which we apply a little bit of ghee, to the fire. And so it's 2 times Swaha, 2 times we add the rice. And in the evening, very similar, Agnaye Swaha, now we add the rice, Agnaye Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. That's it, very simple process. Some of you have seen it, it just takes 10 minutes. Yeah? The only thing is, you have to have a little bit of discipline, especially in the morning, getting up. For some people it's difficult, but it helps us also to get into contact with this natural rhythm of sunrise and sunset, which is the basic rhythm for all life on Earth. Yeah? So, and why is that time so important? There is some ancient wisdom of it, and they say that at sunrise the many fires, electricities, ethers, and more subtle energies emanate from the sun all the way to the earth, and the morning Agnihotra mantra is the essence of that music, of that flood. And this is why we have some resonance. We utter the mantra, we have this flood of energies coming from the sun, which has a music, there's a resonance. And at sunset, the flood recedes. And it was very interesting. I found this slide from an American astrophysicist, Michael Clarash, and he said at 1,000,000 ampere currents head in towards sunrise and out at sunset again. So he confirmed that.
And the longitudinal component is most enabled at the right angle precisely. So in effect, it's the longitudinal, which is the plasma. The physics fits the metaphysics. That's why I really got excited. I loved it.
And what is the angle?
Well, the right angle, see, the sun is actually coming in at a precise right angle to your horizon. That's what sunrise is. It's the physics of why the green flash exists, if you ever studied that.
Yes.
And you cannot climb the spiritual mountain of the Sufis without the green flash.
Is it at the exact 0 degrees,
Yes, yes.
though, than the other? Okay.
This is exactly. So, and that is important also, because what we see is the visible sunlight. That's not the correct time, because there's refraction. Yeah?
You're saying, so visibly, that's why it's like 5 minutes?
Yeah, it is
on the
between
side of
3
the
8
house.
minutes, depends on your latitude, and it depends on the weather
Yeah, so
conditions.
you're saying
Yeah.
the HOTRA actually gets the 0 point?
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay,
we
that's right.
this is why we need the app. We need the calculation,
Yep.
and it's exactly at the right angle, as Dan says. Yeah, that's important.
I swear I felt my hair stand right up when they got the exact timing. I just
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's
And I
important.
looked around, the community was like, the fertility was spreading. And Bhopal and Nagasaki, the ones who did Agnihotra, survived. True story.
Yeah, my kid's
Okay.
mom cleared the groundwater.
Yeah. Okay. I come to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So first, the Agnihotra procedure. It is easy. You start the fire some minutes before the sunrise, sunset, because already you want a nice fire when you add the rice, so that the rice can be consumed by the fire immediately. And then you easiest to put the rice on your left hand, add a little bit of ghee, mix it so that each corn of rice is covered by ghee. You make 2 portions, and then first mantra and first portion, second mantra, second portion. And that's it. And what happens now, that is a rough description of what happens, and we'll come back to that more in detail later. So it is said that a channel is created through all the atmosphere, and prana energy, life energy, comes through this channel, which may or may not happen because of the pollution in the atmosphere otherwise. And then an aura field is created around all plants nearby, and that creates an aura field around the plants. When the flame dies, this energy comes back and is collected in the Agnihotra ash. This is why the Agnihotra ash has so great healing powers. So what are the benefits? And according to traditional knowledge, all nature comes back to harmony. That means the environment, it purifies atmosphere, soil, water resources, biodiversity gets restored, food security can be maintained, and human health improves, both physical and mental. And today, about the effects, I want to just summarize and then concentrate a little bit on the question, how come, how does it work? But for that also I need your input. Okay, what's the effect of the atmosphere? There were a number of experiments, very simple experiments. You perform Agnihotra. No, you put some petri dishes with some nutrient agar on, say, on the floor. Then you measure. You take these petri dishes for incubation, and after 12 hours you get the result. And then you perform Agnihotra and do the same thing. Say after 10 minutes, you put petri dishes again, and you compare. And this has been done several times always with these results, you see left side was before AGNI HOTRA, right side after AGNI HOTRA. And there was just one AGNI HOTRA. Just one AGNI HOTRA. And if you continue, you know, you would come down to no more of these bacteria. Now, particulate matter, that's a big subject. And people often say, okay, you burn something, there's smoke. Yeah? How come that will increase the particulate matter? Okay, so we did this experiment. One university, they have a high volume air sampler which sucks in a lot of air, and this goes through filter, and then they can see how much of the particulate matter is there. And see, at before AGNI HOTRA, it is, say here it is 68, the particulate matter, just the right column. And then during AGNI HOTRA it doesn't go up. Then after that it goes a little bit up, but then it comes down, you know. And we have seen from evening to morning, it came down by 30 to 40%. And the same thing from morning to evening. People first thought, oh, in the night anyway, nothing is happening in the building, so automatically these particles will settle down. But it was the same thing from morning to evening. And that, again, it was only one AGNI HOTRA. We should continue. Actually, we had planned a project for the Delhi air pollution. You may know, in Delhi in winter is the most polluted city. Yeah? And the next two most polluted cities are in India also. So we had a project there, and we started to do that for 1 week, and the initial results were very good. Then suddenly something happened. Actually, what happened is Corona. So I had to leave the country. We had planned the experiment, but then because of Corona, because they were closing down the airports, and I was on one of the last flights back to Europe, so we could not do that. Now later on, you know, there was a new director of the institute, and we did not do it, but we will continue on that also. Okay, then something very interesting. You know that negative ions are an indicator for fresh, healthy air. Okay. And here you see the peaks. Performing AGNI HOTRA at AGNI HOTRA, you see the big peaks which arise at this AGNI HOTRA time, which will could explain, for example, also the effect on bacteria. You know, negative ions, they could...
In fact, for the Therify week, which is conjugate plasma, we believe this is conjugate plasma. Therify is conjugate plasma centripetal. And we often compare the known physics that negative ion wind is profoundly therapeutic because it's implosive, basically. Negative ion wind can heal a lot of stuff, man. Spinal meningitis, no problem, actually. And so ability of negative ion wind is correlated to conjugate plasma directly, which is basically implosion. The negative ion is a little black hole.
So, see, then effects on water resources. That was one simple experiment also done in Pune. They took water from a river, from a polluted river. Okay, in India all rivers are polluted, very much polluted. And they poured this water through a column of AGNI HOTRA ash. And they measured before and after. And you see all the parameters were much improved. Just look at the bacteria, depending on the way you measure standard plate count or most probable number, reduction of 93 to 98%, just by pouring water through this column of AGNI HOTRA. So this is why many people, when they drink the water, they add AGNI HOTRA ash. Now in India, one thing is you don't normally get, there's no spring water. I mean, you can go to the Himalayas, you would find some. But otherwise, whatever water you get in India is RO water, reverse osmosis. Okay, RO removes bacteria, viruses, all this stuff. But I think it also leaves the water without any energy.
Dead.
It's dead water.
Yeah.
So this is why we always, when we get that water, we add a little bit of Agni HOTRA ash. The water comes to life again. Interesting that not only happens on small scale, even a river. This is the Narmada River, one of the big rivers in India. And at that point, we have a HOMA center there. And the river is maybe 500 meters. I only know a few people who make it swimming across it. It's quite big. But there we perform Agni HOTRA regular, some other HOMAs also, and add Agni HOTRA ash to the river from time to time. And there was one survey of the quality of water. It was 2 measuring stations above our place, Maheshwar Homotherapy, the second class, and 1 downstream. And both upstream, downstream, the water quality was much worse. And in our place, the water quality even was fulfilling the standards of WHO. I think these standards are a little bit too high because coliform count 100 ml, that would in Germany would not be accepted. But at least it shows there's a big reduction in all these things, and all parameters of water quality improved. Effects on soil. So we get better yields, better quality of crops, resistance to pests and diseases, and especially improvement of soil health. And that is one very important thing, because now all over the world the soil quality is depleting. And in countries like India it is very bad. There was one state in India, Punjab. Punjab had the best soil, very fertile. You know, they could grow anything. Then the Green Revolution came in. The Green Revolution in India means from the West, you know, the West wanted to do something good for the people in India. They wanted to make business. They sold a lot of fertilizers. They sold a lot of these GM seeds. And within 20, 30 years, the soil quality went totally down. Now you can buy very cheap whole villages in Punjab. And because the soil doesn't produce anymore. And the sad part is that some farmers of Punjab now try to find some land in Uganda, because Uganda has the same kind of very good soil. And what would they do there? They would destroy this soil again. So that is, I don't know, people are so stupid. I really can't understand. You know, for a farmer, the best thing he can hand over to their children is the soil. It's not the Mercedes which may park in their garage. It's not the color TV. It's the soil. Because if the children have good soil, they can continue. And for many, many generations, as it was for thousands of years. But now within 100 years, we can destroy the whole thing. So with Agni HOTRA and Agni HOTRA ash, we can restore soil quality. And also, both alkaline, sodic soil and acidic soil go back to normal pH. We had soil somewhere, the pH was 9.86, and within 1 season only, with Agni HOTRA ash, it came down to 7.8. 1 season only. And in our farm in Poland, where then visited, when they got the farm, the pH was 4.5. The agricultural engineer told them, forget about it. You can, if you put tons of lime and so on, yes, but otherwise forget about it. But they continued with the fires and the ash, and now they have wonderful production there.
It was like the paradise.
Yeah.
I was there. And the neighboring farms know.
Yeah, they are happy when they can grow potatoes. That's the best thing they can do.
Well, shouldn't it go to the neighbors? Shouldn't it continue on to the neighbors, or is this?
Okay, I invite you to Poland to come and talk to the neighbors.
Not organic.
Oh, but really, are they stopping it or something?
No,
Huh?
they're just
No, they are just.
conventional, everything.
What do you think it's because of the?
Well, they're not organic. They're
They're putting stuff back in and during it. It's not
Yeah.
like the therapy where you're saying where the skepticism.
Well, I think the longitudinal wave profoundly affects fertility. It makes total sense.
Right.
Yeah, after some time, but we
At
are.
our place, it's like
See,
open
we are
to,
happy
you know,
if we
free.
don't get problems with the neighbors. So that is big enough.
Okay.
So we don't want to.
I got you.
Give them some time.
Yeah, we give them some time. Relationship is getting better still. One very important point nowadays, because everybody talks about climate change, global warming, all that stuff, and they say that is because of the CO2. We may or may not agree. That is not the point here. But you know, they still say this AGNI HOTRA produces CO2. Correct, produces CO2, but the plants absorb much more. And in itself, CO2 is not a bad thing because really plants need it. But one more important thing is, if you perform AGNI HOTRA on your farm, add AGNI HOTRA ash, the soil organic carbon increases a lot. On our farm in Poland and also my little farm in Germany, we have soil organic carbon content of say 15–17%. In India, you know, earlier they said 2%, now they say 1%, and if they have 1%, they're even happy, because often it's only 0.5%. And soil organic carbon means the life in the soil. You know, without soil organic carbon, you can't have all these microbes which are essential for the soil. All the fungi, we talked about the fungi also. You know, that's essential. You have soil organic carbon. So with AGNI HOTRA and AGNI HOTRA ash, you can increase that, and then it would also help to harmonize nature and harmonize the climate.
Carbon is a conjugator. It was the key to the most fertile soil in the planet, terra preta. And carbon is the fullerene. It's the heart of the. Yeah.
Okay, germination of seeds. That is a very simple experiment. It was done on school level also. You know, you take some seeds, put them in some kind of dish. Now they use petri dishes. Can use a normal dish also. You put some seeds in it and water them with tap water, one side, and then right side with AGNI HOTRA ash. Yeah. And you see the big difference. But if you want to do a scientific experiment, you have to be fair. And we know any ash, you know, you can burn some wood and take the ash, put it to water. It has nutrients. It would help the seeds to germinate faster. So what we do is we also produce some kind of, we call it control ash, means we burn the same substances, cow dung, some ghee, some rice, even in a copper vessel, not this copper pyramid. Actually, what I do is I take a copper pyramid, not a used one, a new one. Yeah, used one already has the vibration, and with a hammer, dang it so that the shape is lost. So it's a copper vessel, but not the pyramid shape. And we don't do it at sunrise and sunset, and we don't use the mantra. But otherwise, it is the same thing. So that control ash we always use for comparison, and you see still AGNI HOTRA ash works much better. And this type of experiment has been done in many, many places, and always the same result. AGNI HOTRA ash proves much better than the control ash. Now the question is, how come? You know, the chemical composition is not, first thing, it's not likely that the chemical composition will be different because we burn the same substances. Anyway, we did the analysis, and here you see there's in this comparison between AGNI HOTRA ash and control ash, there is one difference in the copper content. Otherwise, all the other elements are similar. So I thought, okay, maybe the copper is an important point. But then I measured other AGNI HOTRA ashes, and copper was like we see here. Copper only had a very small percentage, and here also 1.2 milligram per kilogram. So it is not the main factor. Yeah. So
Measure dielectric constant.
okay, I'm grateful for all these suggestions, because I will. We have to find out why. It's still a question, why this AGNI HOTRA ash is different from the normal ash. What we also did is we did some spectroscopy analyses, and that was one thing is infrared absorption. That was interesting because you see the blue one is the AGNI HOTRA ash, and you see two definite peaks which are there in the AGNI HOTRA ash, which are not there in the control ash. So that is one interesting thing.
You should check if those are phase conjugate.
Okay, I will see. Wait, 1500.
That's exactly the way the photosynthesis curve works. The notch peaks that make photosynthesis happen are exactly conjugated.
Okay, I will do the calculation. Good. And I say the experiment should be repeated, and then an interpretation of the result is needed. So that would be one thing, whether it's phase conjugate. Then we did in some institute in southern India. This is an interesting institute because the man, he's a Vedic scholar, and he took the Vedas, and normally people just read the Vedas and are proud of the Vedas and so on. But he says, okay, because there's a lot of knowledge also in the material science, for example. And he says, okay, he tries to understand what the Veda say, and he tries to really try out, to work whether it really is true. And he did a lot of things. For example, he produces a lot of nanomaterials with using herbs. No, it's not a chemical method. He uses herbs, even quite simple. I saw that equipment, and then he did one thing. He could produce an alloy of two elements. I've forgotten which elements. Which Western science they can't make an alloy. These two metals do not join. But he says in the Vedas, there's these metals have friends in the plant kingdom. So he found a common friend of these two metals, and with the help of the common friend, he could produce this alloy. So he's really clever man, did a lot of things. Now, this was the first thing we did, UV visible light spectroscopy. Here you see a difference. Then X-ray diffraction, you also see some difference. And I think this spectroscopy analysis could help to do something. Somebody told me Raman analysis would be good, but I have not found somebody to do that. But your suggestion is very welcome. Okay, then another such idea is that it is the sound in the AGNI HOTRA ash. That could well be. And sound, that sound has a big impact on matter. We can see on, this was done at Bell's laboratory to visualize the sound. And here you see the effect, cymatics, this effect of sound on, for example, water. You have it either on water or some liquid and on sand. And here you see all the different shapes with the different notes. Yeah, you have different vibration, different sound. That is quite impressive. And for Agni HOTRA, of course, also we have sound. First, the sound of the mantras, and then the sound which comes from the sun. The sound which is in the music, which is in the flood of energies coming from the sun. And that leads to a strong resonance effect. And then we have this resonance, and we also have the shape and the size of the pyramid, where we have the reflection. So it is reflected from the sound from the mantras, the sound from the sun, and then reflected in the pyramid.
But just to say that the pyramid is almost very clearly phase conjugate capacitance. So the capacitance spectrum could be 2 and a plus, that's what the angle is. And the sound wave is mostly longitudinal, unlike most electromagnetic. So this synergizing the compression wave and the compressional electromagnetic with the compressional longitudinal sound is very synergetic.
Yeah, and then there's one thing, it is said that a standing wave is created above the pyramid.
Yeah, and that's the longitudinal emission,
Yeah.
always perpendicular to even
Yeah.
the fire crystal.
So
Correctional
that is very thing, and I would be happy if we could cooperate on that to elaborate that concept a little bit. Okay, I'll go a little bit more then about the sound. We know that the physics of sound means there is a vibration of some medium like gas, like the air or liquid or solid. Yeah, but the sound of Agni HOTRA is there only for a short time. You know, we sing the mantras, the sound comes from the sun. Okay, and there may be still a little bit a vibration in the air, but not for a long time. But still, the effect of Agni HOTRA and the sound is the sound in the ash. How is it stored? There must be some more subtle sound. And this is something which is really interesting.
Implosive capacitance would be the correct term.
Okay.
Have you ever measured the LF,
The what?
the low frequency of the breath? The heart rate and then doing it in a low frequency.
Yeah, when you're doing the mantra, there would be a significant low frequency component, infrasound, and that would be most,
Will trigger it.
And the meaning of the mantra is relaxing into the low frequencies partly. Yeah, that's
Oh,
The
that
bandwidth of the
Infrasound.
LF, have you ever measured?
infrasound. No, we have not measured.
It's really easy.
Uh-huh. Okay, that is very interesting. Okay,
Fun ideas.
I'm thankful for all your suggestions. This is actually why I came here. But one thing is, I want to show you. You have heard of Emoto, yeah? Yeah. It's a great method, and what we did in cooperation with Emoto, now he's no more, it's a pity, water crystals after adding Agni HOTRA ash, and they're beautiful. So we took Agni HOTRA ash from different parts in Europe, sent it to the Emoto Institute it was in Liechtenstein at that time,
Yeah.
now it's in Austria.
Mayor Gaup's son, Rasmus.
Rasmus, exactly. And they even publish a small book, Emoto and
Rasmus.
yeah. And here you see Agni HOTRA ash water crystal. And they're just beautiful. So in the ash is still some vibration.
That is propagating capacitance, you see. The standing wave of implosive propagating capacitance. Even Karakov agreed with that. Emoto, he didn't really was into the physics, but Karakov helped him.
You could try the Beta Austin method.
Yeah,
Beta Austin
Yeah,
method.
Beta Austin is very helpful in that regard. She
Yeah.
kind of picked up Emoto's work.
Uh-huh.
Beta Austin, you know.
But faster and easier.
Okay, I can't remember that all. So if you tell me after that, I would be happy. Yeah, okay. So then we did one experiment on the subtle structures of water. we took water in a couple of classes. We took distilled water. And say 5 classes we put in an AGNI HOTRA room, I mean jars closed. And 5 classes we put in the lab. And after 5 days, we took all the jars from the AGNI HOTRA room to the lab. And then, only then, we added 1 drop of E. coli to all of these jars. And you see here, the blue columns is the water kept in the lab. And after 1 day already, you have a colony count of 375. And the water from the AGNI HOTRA room, you couldn't detect anything. In microbiology, I was told, never say 0 microbes because there always may be some, you say, not detectable. But you see, after 5 days, 120 hours, you see the coliform count in the water from the lab really shoots up. And the water in the AGNI HOTRA, which was kept in the AGNI HOTRA room, has less bacteria than the lab water on the first day.
Like a sterilizing effect.
We do not know what happens because this is something which I don't still know. I think it's some vibrational thing, like some sound stored in the water. But how can sound be stored in water for such a long time?
Parasites are toasted by implosion. That's the
Okay. But the parasites were not there in the water. You know, the water was without the bacteria in the AGNI HOTRA room. Only after that we brought the room. So the water must have been changed.
Not exactly. Like, if you let water stand there forever, at some point life will form within.
Yeah.
It just takes time.
Yeah.
Like, it's life generates from the void.
spontaneous generation.
And from there, life emerges. If there's nothingness, thingness will create out of it.
There's air in the jar.
Yeah, okay. I mean, but the thing is, the bacteria were not not affected by the AGNI HOTRA because they were not there. Only later we added them. But okay. So then, some things which may help a little bit, that is electromagnetic properties of water. They change in AGNI HOTRA atmosphere. And that's an important thing. You know, this experiment was done ages ago in Poland. We have our friend from Poland here. It was one guy from Rzeszów, and he did very interesting experiments. So he took an aquarium filled with water and then measured the magnetic permeability of water. And you see the water, the black line is the distilled water in AGNI HOTRA atmosphere, and the 3 is tap water in AGNI HOTRA atmosphere, and you see the peaks. And average is just nothing, and water not affected by AGNI HOTRA. So magnetic permeability of water changes if in AGNI HOTRA
That's
atmosphere.
beautiful. That's charge distribution efficiency, a conjugate state. That's beautiful.
So then a second experiment was also in an aquarium filled with water, and we had one light source, and then we measured the intensity of light there. So we measured the light absorption. And also here you see there's a peak, a higher peak with the AGNI HOTRA water.
That's a particular color, isn't it? The color of light.
Yeah, that looks like here it is 525 micrometer.
Angstrom, yeah. I think that's part of the photosynthesis spectrum.
Okay, as you mentioned, photosynthesis, that was another experiment. I don't have it here. We did that recently. We measured the photosynthesis activity of plants in AGNI atmosphere and outside. And it was much higher in AGNI atmosphere.
Photosynthesis frequencies are precisely conjugators. This is a conjugate phenomenon, which means impulsive.
Yeah.
528.
Hmm?
Would it be 528?
Could it be 500?
Maybe it was around that. Yes, I would say it was between 500 and 550.
I'll look that up.
Okay, so both experiments show that HOTRA changes some electromagnetic properties of water. And we know that electric and magnetic properties of water play a decisive role in living cells. And yeah, as you say, of course, till now or till recently, scientists, they just looked at the chemistry. They didn't look at physics. And that could have a big impact of many life parameters. And so it would be good to look deeper into that matter, and especially also see the effect of both AGNI and AGNI ash on the molecular level. We are working on that. Now, one more interesting thing is the energy field of AGNI. We have seen AGNI effects, for example, plant growth. And it reduces growth of bacteria. So now what we thought, what kind of energy field is that? Is that an electromagnetic field? And in order to find out, we shielded the water from the AGNI, from the electromagnetic waves. Of course, electromagnetic wave is there. It's heat, it's light. So what we did is, we took water in jars. You see at the right side, you see these jars. And some of them we put in metal containers. Also, we used 3 different metals because I thought that might have a difference. Didn't make a difference. So this is the configuration. We had 9 jars in metal containers and another 8 without metal containers. Also at different distances because I thought that may make a difference. It did not really make a difference. And then we had the same number of jars in the lab from the beginning. It was polluted water from a river. And then we measured the parameters of water quality, like dissolved oxygen, pH, chemical oxygen demand, hardness, and coliform count. Yeah, we measured. And we did it blind. That is, I brought the bottles from our AGNI room, and I numbered them so that the lab people did not know. And I was not there when they did the measurement. So then what we saw is that the coliform count for all the water kept in the lab went down between 68 and 70%. There was practically no difference. I would say it's not a significant difference with this small number. There was practically no difference whether these water samples were in a metal container, Faraday cage, or not.
And longitudinal waves don't have any interference with
the yes, that is exactly, and we talked about that because here I say could be some kind of Prana energy. Longitudinal waves, scalar waves, yes. But the thing is how to explain that and how to measure. I don't know how to.
Yeah, physics doesn't have a lot of longitudinal EMF tools.
We in Germany there's one Professor Meil who works with
Constantine Meil, yeah.
You know, okay, and he has done devices, and a friend of him, he came and we tried to measure, but it was not possible. Very tricky. But anyway, so that is one thing: longitudinal waves or some sound, and but the electronic equipment is not yet able to catch these more subtle aspects of sounds. We are still working on that. Now, okay, coming towards the end, you mentioned the alpha waves, beta waves. This was done in Moscow some time ago. This was some people before AGNI-HOTRA. You see concentration is more on the beta level, 70% beta, 17% alpha. And after AGNI-HOTRA, it is 23, say, percent beta, 57% alpha. So immediately there's a big change.
Alpha up. That's good.
And so, yeah, so that is something which you can, it's easy to measure. Then we had an interesting thing, GDV was mentioned before also. We got this equipment built from Korotkov. This was a person before AGNI-HOTRA. You see, the chakras are a little bit out of sync. And just one AGNI-HOTRA, you see, very much more aligned. Only one, the throat chakra is a little bit out of sync. Everything else totally aligned. Just one AGNI-HOTRA.
The solar plexus particularly.
When he's drinking or?
No, just nothing, just being there. Just being there for AGNI-HOTRA.
This is the GDV technique. They correlate the finger curly and calculate this.
You have to, you know, you put your 10 fingers, one after the other, on some plate, and there's some high voltage there. And then it is, yeah, related to Kirlian.
Yeah.
Of course.
They analyze the acupuncture meridians based on the fingers, extrapolate to the body.
But when Korotkov was asked, is that similar to Kirlian, he said, yeah, you could say it's like a bicycle compared to a modern car.
Well, it's a calibrated curve.
Yeah, the method is similar, but this is he has a sophisticated software to make that visible, and it's great. And
it's called BioWell now.
Yeah, BioWell. Originally GDV.
BioWell.eu, for example.
Yeah, I have such an instrument. I even have one here, if somebody's interested. So this is something which shows immediately the effect on the more subtle body. Now let us. Oh, just because you asked whether they were drinking, you know. Patrick mentioned in the morning about the blood cells that they coagulate because if there's not enough voltage. Yeah, we did some experiments with blood, and often you see these blood rolls where the blood cells all are stuck together. People were just drinking AGNI-HOTRA ash water, and then the blood was. The blood cells all were free floating. So just, if you are interested, I can show you the information. It was just drinking AGNI-HOTRA ash water and immediately had this effect. So it has some, probably some effect on the electric properties of the blood cells also. So now, at the beginning I showed you this we never sell AGNI-HOTRA ash. We never charge for teaching AGNI-HOTRA, and we never sell AGNI-HOTRA ash. We teach you how you can prepare your own AGNI-HOTRA ash. I can give you some, but it should never be a business.
Like kombucha.
Well, they put the ash also in healing creams and salves, the ash.
Biodynamic prep.
Huh?
Yeah, biodynamic prep.
Okay.
If you live in the city, you want to be able to...
Okay. Yeah.
You can order it.
You can order from, but Romania is the transport cost is a problem. We are selling cow dung. Yeah, you know, this is how we all started. We went, yeah, yeah.
That's to go local. Local source.
Okay, so discussion after. Now, you know, you see this is the graphics which we prepared. Now this is what Dan added. And no, that is a good explanation, so I'm happy about that. And he says, you know, that is the accurate conjugate four-wave mixing. And yes, short-wave plasma. This AGNI HOTRA fire, you know, any flame is a weak plasma, no? And so, and that, you know, the plasma state is very special because there you can influence things much, much easier. So this is what he came out with. And so now my request is all those who have ideas of first how to understand the process better, how to do some more measurements, like there were some suggestions, what else could we measure to understand it better, and then how to explain in such terms which ideally open-minded modern scientists would understand. It shouldn't be too esoteric. And
we can predict what directions the longitudinal wave is coming. The direction of the longitudinals are very directional.
Yeah.
So the effect should be much more at the perpendicular axis, even the benefits. And also, this should work better at magnetic line cross points. In addition to sunrise, sunset, it should also work better at solstice and equinox, all because of longer wave contribution.
That's tomorrow.
yeah,
That's right.
I mean, yes, once we had a big project on equinox to organize many people. So we had AGNI HOTRA on all the different latitudes. No, wait, longitudes, because the latitude sunrise sunset is the same. But on all the different longitudes, so that it would be one band of AGNI HOTRA fires going around.
That's why it's longitude.
Yeah, going around the Earth. We don't do that anymore because some people said, "Oh, I don't want to give my data because of privacy and all that stuff." And but it is interesting because on these 2 days, only on these 2 days, you have really one line of these AGNI HOTRA fires moving around the Earth, and normally always there would be one fire burning. Yeah. Okay, that was a nice idea, and but we don't put too much importance on that, because then what people would do, oh, I do it on equinox. You know, AGNI HOTRA is something you do every day, not on equinox or on Easter and Christmas. You know, like people go to church on Easter and Christmas. It's not the idea. You know, you should be in contact with your source all the time. 2 more quotes. This AGNI HOTRA fire is touching the core of the Earth, where healing is received and generated into atmosphere. Power of the sun is directly operating AGNI HOTRA fire. That is the last sentence, very interesting, because 2 people have told me. This Polish physicist, he said, it is as if the power of AGNI HOTRA itself is working in the pyramid. And then I was in Lithuania. There were 3 clairvoyant sisters. They were very good. They they just looked at a person and gave exact analysis. They were often asked by people in the hospital, when hospital didn't know about, they asked, and these were exact. So they could, so and these people said the same thing, that the power of the sun works in this AGNI HOTRA pyramid. Okay. And then another thing, the specific frequencies of the different steps of the pyramid could be measured if a scientist wishes to put his mind into it. The most intensive sound waves have their origins at the 4 sides of the pyramid, forming a small angle. from inside the pyramid, a standing wave of certain frequency is sent out. The
Well,
standing
it's a
wave.
longitudinal component
Yeah.
specifically, and spectrum analysis of the capacitance of that pyramid would tell you exactly if the angles were correct.
Okay, that's it mainly, and I hope I get some feedback from you. Now the time is over, but we can do it in the break or tomorrow. And so I thank you and invite everybody for today's evening AGNI HOTRA, which is at 7 o'clock, 44 minutes and 28 seconds. Okay?
Thank you for coming on. There's an aperitif in about a few minutes, and then dinner, and then a